Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Good to see everybody here. I'm here with Waj Ali. And I have to tell you, Waj, there are so many people who have asked me to have you on, like consistently in the chat. Michelle Kinney and I do this morning show every morning, and people are like, when are you guys gonna have Waj on? And I didn't want to make you get up at like the crack of dawn to do that show with us because you have a billion kids. And so I didn't think
Yeah, I thank you. For those who know, I'm always up late at night and early in the mornings, and then I look like this. And I don't even drink. I've never drank, so this is how I look. This is what happens when you have 800 kids and 3 cats, and you're taking on fascists. But it's a pleasure being on your show.
thank
We've been on Piers Morgan before, where we have to debate the world's worst people, these effete weak reeks who have sold their dignity and America for a paycheck and for Donald Trump because they live permanently in his anus. Too soon or not soon enough? And then you also probably have now ensured that you'll never get invited on CNN. I don't get invited ever again, even though I was once a contributor and you were once a contributor.
Well, I was
Bec
never, no, I was never a CNN contributor. I was a Fox contributor.
you were a Fox, but they liked you, right? They really liked you on CNN. They used to bring you on all the time.
Oh my God, they love me on CNN. And then, interestingly, I think once I started really going hard at Scott, I suddenly started being Scott Jennings. I suddenly started not getting invited as much. And then,
Hmm.
hmm. And then Sunday, I wrote this Substack column because I just, I had done a show with him on Sunday night, and he was just like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't mind. Listen, I spent 10 years at Fox. Like, I can debate any of these guys, not a problem. But when you're starting to talk and somebody cuts you off and starts rolling their eyes and doesn't talks over you and screams over you and lies, and you can't get a word in, at that point you got to wonder what the hell is the point of being on the show. So I sat down, I got really pissed off. I wrote a Substack column. I did not expect it to go viral. It went really viral.
It was really good. I shared it.
Thank you. Well,
I
thank
think
you.
I emailed you right when it got published. I
You
just
did.
happened to be
You
on.
did.
I said, I'm like glad someone finally says it.
I know. So what happened with you with him?
Uh,
Why?
so, 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 what you just described to me is a microcosm of Trump and MAGA. Fragile, weak, insecure men cosplaying as alphas, who have weak chins, weak knees, and weak cankles. But now that they have power, are flexing that power, and they loathe people of color. And but they what they really loathe are women. They really, and you see ICE agents. Look how these white suburban white women, they just lose their ish, Julie, right? They see that they mock them, they calling them effing B after they murder them,
Oh yeah.
because these losers. And Scott, like me, was a tubby man. He was a tubby boy back in the day, and you could tell the high school prom queen rejected him. Probably didn't look in his direction. And now that corporate America has made the wrong decision to bend the knee to Trump, who is historically unpopular. Look at the New York Times Siena poll. We'll talk about it. There's a lot we'll talk about today. He
Yeah.
is so unpopular, Julie, which is why I think it's shameful for CNN to elevate and platform Scott Jennings to the point where he realizes, much like ICE, he has absolute immunity. He can mock you, ridicule you. He has his own WWE heel mug camera. He takes over, wait for it, Abby Phillips' show. She's a black woman. And he's openly now saying, yeah, I'm the heel. He said it in an interview with that comedian Adam Friedland. Yeah, I'm like, it's a game. I'm like WWE heel. And, he gets paid to do what was once Rick Santorum's job, which was once Jeffrey Lord's job, to be the resident right-wing hack who gets to take over the panel. We bend the knee, the Overton window shifts. What the right wing does, as you know, is they work the refs. Wah, wah, wah. The institutions are biased. Wah, wah, wah. Give us a column in the New York Times. Wah, wah, wah. Everyone hates us. And then, all these producers and the network then say, okay, you're right, Lucy. We'll play your rigged game. We'll be Charlie Brown. Will you lift the football? I won't. And she lifts the football. But now that's been supercharged. It's been supercharged where he comes in every day. He goes, I can say anything I want. I can do anything I want. And I know they're going to pay me more money. And you mother effers are going to have to take it. And the reason why I like what you said, and also, I'm forgetting her name. Her moniker is Politics Girl.
Oh, she's
She had an
great. I forgot her last name. She's very, very good.
She had enough of it also, like you. She manifested your Substack post in flesh.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we'll continue on this, but I'll tell you my experience with this week. I called them an amoeba on live. So I was with CNN for a year,
Right.
and they brought me on, Julie. This is just how the sausage is made. I think this might be entertaining for your audience. I used to do free CNN and MSNBC, right? So I used to go back and forth. And it came to a point where my wife was like, "You can't do this, man. You can't, like, you are exhausted. You're so good." And then Glenn Kirshner said, "Hey, man, God bless Glenn Kirshner." He says, "I see you like me. You're exhausted. We go up, take the Acela all the way to MSNBC, and you're not getting paid." I worked both of them against each other. So I did MSNBC and CNN. And then these producers see you, and then they try to poach you. So I did that. And I went to CNN, and the lady who's now the head of MSNBC, uh,
Rebecca Cutler.
Rebecca Cutler, basically said, "Waj, we like you, but just keep at it. And this is how the sausage is made." And she kind of like broke it down for me. So I said, "Okay, you're never gonna give me a job. Forget it." That weekend, there was a Christchurch massacre, and 50 Muslims were killed by Brenton Tarrant, a white supremacist in New Zealand who echoes the same conspiracy theories that Elon Musk and the Republican leadership now echo. I say this without hyperbole. Julie, I was waiting for the facts to come out. I was up late. I've been studying these people. I've been studying Anders Breivik. I've been studying their conspiracy theories. I did a 10-tweet thread. I go to sleep. In the morning, I get a phone call from Jim Sciutto of CNN. Says, "Bro, come on my show, please." I'm like, "How'd you get my number?" He goes, "Just come on my show." I come on his show. I do 5 minutes. It goes viral. Jim runs out after. He goes, "Man, you made me look good." On the morning call today, Jeff Zucker, who was then the president of CNN, who worked with Donald Trump, literally gave him millions of dollars, Julie, of free advertising in 2016.
Created Donald Trump, some might say.
Apprentice. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
He said, "There's this guy, Waj Ali, who did a fantastic 10-tweet thread. Get him on." So I went back and forth, and literally, folks, just to show you how cable media works, hopefully this is interesting for our viewers. The week before, Rebecca Cutler said, "Sorry, we got nothing." Those next 3 days, I was used nonstop on CNN, MSNBC, yada, yada. On Monday, Rebecca Cutler texted me 3 times. "Where are you? I can't get in touch with you. We need to give you a contract." All right, so now I get on CNN. They bring me in as token Muslim guy. Julie, I'm a child of immigrants. I think you're a child of immigrants as well, right?
I'm an actual immigrant. No, I'm going to get deported soon. I'm an actual immigrant.
You're an actual, okay. For 1 month, they paid me, and they didn't have me on TV. And I'm like, I just got paid without doing work. And my wife's like, "Bro, just chill." And my daughter was diagnosed with cancer at the time, and I felt like, this is amazing. We got this gig. It'll help us pay for the cancer bills, but I have things to say. So they just kept me. They didn't use me. And then I'm the one who volunteered and said, "Can you just put me in, coach?"
Yeah.
And they put me in, they saw me. So then they brought me on the daytime shows. They said, "Oh, this brown guy's pretty good. He knows his stuff." Then they brought me in the evening shows. Then they put me on panels. Then they did debates with me. And then I came and did debates with Jeffrey Lord and Santorum. And some of the debates that I did was with Scott Jennings. Now, Scott Jennings at that time was morphing from centrist, moderate, responsible Republican to Donald Trump isn't that bad. This is why I just want people to realize.
Trump curious.
Yeah, Trump curious, bi-curious, Trump polycule. And I want people to realize what a piece of shit he is, how feckless he is, because this is the same guy who was like, now, Donald Trump is terrible. I'm responsible. I'm part of the Bush Republicans. And now he lives within Trump's anus. And literally, when Trump chews gum, he's the one that chews it for him. Just to show you how worthless these people are, no convictions. I was doing a debate, friendly debate, Julie, Anderson Cooper. And I said, as I saw him, be bi-curious and play footsie with Trump, I said live on air, I said, "Scott, come on, man. Stop being an amoeba. Grow a spine. I know you know better. Stand up to Trump." We'd finish our segment, Julie. I go home. I got like 800 kids. I get a call the next day from Rebecca Cutler. "Waj, come on now. You need to be more respectful to your Republican colleagues." I mean, what are you talking about? I literally, Julie, for me, it was like, what you and me get shit on all the time. We have tough skin, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Yesterday when you said to Scott, you called him a Bima, we're colleagues. And I'm like, what? I mean, what do you mean? We had like a back and forth. Yeah, but it was disrespectful. So this little B
Oh, called up.
narked
Of
on,
course.
called up Rebecca and said, I didn't like it that he called me that. And I got an official warning. I got 3 warnings in my 1 year at CNN. Each and every single time, a Republican who dishes it couldn't take it. Literally, Julie called up and narked on me and gave me a mark. All right. And they said, why did he say that? So that same Scott Jennings who talked over you, mocked you, ridiculed you, couldn't take it when I just destroyed him in a debate with a smile on my face. And sorry for this filibuster. I just wanted people to know how these people are, and which is why
Oh,
we need more of you, especially women, to stand up and say F you.
well, if we're going down memory lane, the last time I was on Abby Phillips' show with Scott, I stuck it to him and understand what he does. He like goes home, cuts and pastes, edits clips to make himself look good. Whereas in fact, I mean, literally, it's like he gets his ass handed to him, but his little minions on Twitter would never know that because he literally recreates, these like moments that never existed. But anyway, so I stuck it to him on CNN. And I'm sitting at that table with Abby Phillip. And we go to commercial break. And he goes to her, he goes, you see, this is what she does. He starts complaining about me in front of me. In front of me. To the anchor. He runs to mommy and complains in front of me. Now, if my son had a play date when he was 3 or 4 years old, and somebody pushed him at the play date, and he ran to me and said, you see, I would have been like, why don't you figure it out?
Ozempic has made him weaker and more fragile. He should go back to eating some more protein. I think the reason why we're talking about Scott is not, a personal vendetta against Scott. He's a piece of shit, whatever. But what he represents, folks, and I think this is important.
Yeah.
What he represents is the impunity with which the right wing has operated within mainstream spaces, and the fact that the mainstream has tolerated bad faith actors like this and elevated them to the detriment of truth, to the detriment of women, to the detriment of people of color, to the detriment now of democracy, and to the detriment of their own colleagues and their host. Like Abby sits there and gets humiliated by Scott. It's Scott's show, Julie.
100%. And what I don't understand is this. There's certain, look, we could sit here. As I said, I spent 10 years at Fox. I can, he's like Timu Hannity. Like he's not even, he couldn't hack it at Fox. He couldn't hack
Timu Hannity, well done.
He couldn't hack it at Fox. That's the funny thing, is like, he's not good enough to hack it there, which says a lot, by the way. But it is not even a question of, are we going to argue about marginal tax rates? Are we going to argue about the proper role of ICE in society? Are we going to argue about foreign policy? No, we're arguing over something that goes like this. Julie or Waj say the earth is round, and Scott Jennings says the earth is flat, and we're going to have a debate about it, which means that Waj and Julie's point of view has as much merit as Scott Jennings' point of view, who says that the earth is flat. And that is what CNN is doing by platforming him.
Absolutely.
That is what these stations are consistently doing. They're platforming people who make it seem as though their bullshit, which again is not a difference of opinion, it is a difference of fact, merits the same kind of consideration that people who say the sun rises in the east, well, no, I think it rises in the west. Okay, let's have a debate about that.
And what data has shown, if you just look at climate change, what data has shown is that when you both sides it, when 99% of science says climate change is real, now what we should do about it, we could debate it, and you have a 1% crank, and you create an artificial both sides, like what corporate media does and CNN does, it misleads people. Because once you now put them at the same level field, what it showed, especially with climate change, is people say, oh, well, why would this respectable news organization have both sides and invite this other person? Surely there must be some merit to this crank bullshit. Same thing is happening with vaccines. Same thing is happening with Tylenol. Right? I'm not even going to repeat the lie. Same thing what happens with January 6th. So then you have to ask yourself, is it not the news organization that is complicit with the Overton window shifting further and further to the right, Julie?
No question about it, because as you said, they play the refs. They play the refs. And when I was a Fox, like we have a big, you're down in DC, you have this too. There's a massive storm apparently headed our way. Oh my God, heavens to Betsy. All the news stations are all they're talking about. There's nothing else going on in the world right now, Waj. I don't know if you turn on the news
No, nothing, nothing.
other than a snowstorm is headed our way. Anyway, I can guarantee you, because I know what's, I predict to you that if you turn on Fox News this weekend, what you will hear is they talk about global warming. But do you think we'd have global warming if this kind of weather is happening here? Look at all the snow. There's no global warming. Like, this is what happens. And then people are sitting there being like, huh, okay, they have a point. And then they'll have somebody like me when I used to be a Fox saying, well, actually, it's climate change, and that's why you're having more extreme weather. Well, would we have this kind of thing if it was global warming? It would be hot. We'd all be swimming right now. Like, that's the kind of shit that they do. You expect it from Fox, right? You expect it from that. But this is CNN. This is the place that people used to go to get their news, right? You used to go there. Like, if some horrible war happened or some sort of crisis happened, people go to CNN. I think
That's
they
right.
still. And there are incredible journalists at CNN. I think about somebody like a Christiane Amanpour. Like, she's on the same network as Scott Jennings. How is that possible? How is that possible? You have serious people. Bianca Golodriga, I don't know if you ever worked with her when you were at CNN. She's wonderful. Probably not, because I think she got there later. But I mean, you have wonderful reporters. And you don't, Aaron Burnett. I think Aaron Burnett is really good.
Aaron's great. Shudo's great.
It's great.
Christiane Amanpour is great.
You notice.
And a lot of the people who aren't anchors, just doing good journalism.
Yeah. But you notice you never see Jennings on Aaron Burnett's show because she's not going to platform that shit.
Yeah.
And to me, what I don't understand is, and I say this as somebody who truly, like, CNN to me was always kind of, I don't know about gold standard and cable news, because that's kind of saying like the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But I don't know how to handle all of this, because there's nothing to do other than to say, this is why you created your own thing. This is why I created my own thing. This is why Substack has taken off so much and YouTube has taken off so much, because when it comes down to it, we need them less than they need us. Like,
absolutely.
I published that Scott Jennings thing, and I got to tell you, and that's a long 1,000-word column, right? That's not
that's very depressing that you said 1,000-word column is long, but yes, this is where we live.
But I'm saying on Scott Jennings, like, it's not a tweet. It's not a pit that you can watch in 2 minutes. That got more views in the first 24 hours than Abby Phillips' show gets in the demo.
Yep.
What does that say about where people are migrating now?
And there's a lot to unpack with what you said. Is it says first and foremost that people have lost faith in corporate media. People have lost faith in our news organizations, no matter how flawed they were. Like you said, they still provided benefit, because in the New York Times, which I used to write for, Washington Post, even now, CNN International,
Yep.
They still have the budget. They have the reputation. So people want these people to get better, right? Now that they've been so craven and so much of it ties to corporate media, you could go back. I mean, there is a very telling quote, and I bring this up a lot, Julie, which I think is going to be one of the top 10 quotes of this era, because it was so pure. It was Les Moonves, 2015, right before right before the election. Donald Trump is throwing his hand in the ring. Les Moonves, the disgraced former CEO of CBS, he says openly in a panel, Donald Trump might not be good for America. He's great for CBS. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful, pure quote. I love this quote because it removes all the artifice, right? It removes all the veils. And then Jeffrey Zucker, same time, the head of CNN, comes from TV. He helped make Donald Trump through The Apprentice, worked with Donald Trump as he was running for the presidency to increase the ratings, right? And then years later felt a little bit of guilt because the monster that he created turned on them. Now, in the past 10 years, if you have paid attention, folks, the same right wing that they will drop kick a Julie and elbow kick an elbow drop a Waj to go bear hug a Scott Jennings, because they think that right wing, right, that the older white conservative, like small people who still watch conservative news, is worth it, right? It's worth it to tank their ratings. It's worth it to tank their reputation. It's worth it to tank, anything good they have created. And furthermore, folks, just to show you it's not a conspiracy theory, when you look at Larry and Ellison and his nepo baby David Ellison, who bought CBS, They openly said, David Ellison said, "Oh, Donald Trump, you don't like CNN? You want reforms? Okay, we'll buy." And they're still trying to buy. They're still trying to
Yep.
buy Warner Brothers and CNN. They're making a bid, right? So now they're openly saying, "Oh, you don't like CNN? Okay, we've made a bid for Warner Brothers. Is between Warner Brothers and Netflix right now, and they want to do to CNN what they've done to CBS in the past 2 months. You and I are old enough, Julie. We remember CBS used to be the Tiffany Network. It used to have 60 Minutes, still does.
Still
It
does.
had Edward Murrow. It had Walter Cronkite. It was the gold standard. And look what Barry Weiss did to it in 2 months.
But could I just interrupt you for a second to say this? Because this is so relevant because you brought up the Les Moonves quote from 2016. In 10 short years, it may not be good for America, but it's good for CBS. Is it good for CBS?
Very good point.
Because look what happened to CBS within a decade of them empowering Donald Trump. It's over. It's finished.
It's done.
And by the way, Les Moonves thought he was good for CBS because of advertising and ratings. The ratings are in the toilet. I would even say that if the ratings were fantastic, it'd be worth it, right? Because they'd be making hand over fist money. That's really all they care about. The ratings are in the toilet. CNN, ratings are in the toilet. Why? Because if people want to see Timu Hannity, they'll just turn on the real Hannity. Why would they watch CNN to see Scott Jennings when they could turn on Fox and see the real thing?
It's two very good points you made. First and foremost, it reminds me of this Bourne quote. If you've seen the Bourne trilogy, where at the end the assassins always look at each other, world weary and broken, and say, "Look at what they make you give." Right? It's a great and that's one of the top 10 quotes I've been using for the past 10 years to all the institutions and Republicans to Trump. Look at what they make you give. And my follow-up question to your point, was it worth it? Clearly it wasn't. You ruined your reputation. You're now out. He turned on you because he turns on everyone. CNN, what I always said to CNN, you are trying to bear hug a MAGA and drop kick your loyal viewers and your actual colleagues, and they still see you as fake news. They still see you, Julie, as enemy of the state. They mock you and they ridicule you. To this day in 2026, they're trying to court the MAGA Fox Newsmax base that looks at CNN's dwindling ratings and mocks them. They look at Scott Jennings and say, "You idiots are paying Scott Jennings what, $300,000 a year
Or more.
to win us over, and we still think you're a bunch of devil worshipping deep state pedophiles. You losers." Was it worth it? Now CNN's reputation is gone. The ratings are gone. It's going to be gobbled up by Netflix or CBS. CBS News in 2 months, same thing. Destroyed. It's done. CBS News is gone. It's gone. The reputation is gone. The standing is gone. You've become a punchline. Everything Donald Trump touches dies. And I asked them, was it worth it? Look at what they make you give. And then I said this in response to your Substack, I think 2 days ago. And in response to, forgive me again, I'm forgetting her name. I just know her as Politics Girl.
Yeah,
Her
Lee,
clip,
yeah, Lee
Leah? Yeah.
I think it's
If
Lee.
anyone knows, put it in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
LEI.
went
Yeah.
she went viral too because she did bare minimum, and she went viral for the bare minimum.
Yeah.
She called them out. She said enough. She was like just sick of it. And what I said is this, fault, Julie. They need us more than we need them. If
100%.
CNN's panelists said, "You're going to put me on with that mother effer, and that mother effer is going to allow me to be humiliated," F you. I'm going to humiliate him on air. If every panelist just humiliated Scott Jennings on air, and they said, "I'm not going to go on with that panel," you have no show, Julie.
But here's the thing. What they're doing now is they're going out to creators, right? There's a reason why they have politics all the time, right? Because she's got huge numbers. There's a reason why they have Cameron Kasky. They have Cameron Kasky, who also humiliated Scott Jennings, because he's got numbers, right? So they're bringing in all of these influencers. They had Jillian, the last time I was on, one of the last times I was on with Jillian Michaels. And I have to say, another great example, right? I was on with Jillian Michaels. This clip actually went viral, where apparently Trump has, not apparently, he did. Trump was taking away, this is in June, right? During Pride. And Trump was taking away, she was appalled. Now she's a lesbian. She was appalled that the Smithsonian was flying the Pride flag. Well, it's Pride Month. It's not like they're flying it 24/7. It's Pride Month. You're flying the Pride flag. What's the big deal, right? Appalled, but that's not where then she starts talking about slavery.
And how you were part of that panel that went viral. Okay.
I was the one that had the debate with her. I was the one who provoked her. And I have to say, I had not been invited on after that because Scott Jennings was there too, because I stuck it to him and then I stuck it to her. I wasn't invited on for another few months. She was kept being invited on because they like the crack. They like that stuff. Now, one person says slavery was a bad thing, and somebody else says slavery may have not been that bad. Let's have a fair and balanced debate. What are we platforming here? What are we doing here?
So I have to thank you, I have to blame you for helping me go viral because it was based off of that clip, which now it's coming back to me. Very well done in pushing her back, where Jillian Michaels, unintentionally or intentionally promoted white nationalist talking points about slavery, and I called her out on that on Piers Morgan, and she says, "I'm not a white nationalist." I'm like, "Oh, you're not? Oh, okay, could have fooled me. Good to know." And then she says, "I'm a child of Arab immigrants." So I'm like, that makes it even worse. Lesbian, child of Arab immigrants, and also you have a black child. Wonderful. And so they platform,
Oh, the
once I saw
black
CNN,
child thing, by the way, I can't
yeah,
even
once
that.
I saw CNN platform that, which was egregious, folks. I mean, really go back and look at that clip. And I'm so glad you spoke for so many of us. Like, I remember I saw your face and you're like, what?
Yeah.
That is, I mean, whether Jillian realized it or not, that is a white nationalist talk point being aired on CNN in a stupid bullshit debate that should have ended immediately, then goes on for the ratings for 7 minutes. And this is what we're dealing with. And now we have the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem standing behind a lectern last week, folks,
Oh
with a
yes.
Nazi slogan. I'm not saying this, not a neo-Nazi slogan, not a quasi-Nazi slogan, a Nazi slogan. Last week, and this is what happens. This is when you mainstream. Steve Bannon said it yesterday in the Atlantic. Atlantic came out with the article. It goes, F the Overton window. We're just going to do it. And we know that you guys are going to repeat it. Christopher Rufo openly wrote an article, mocked mainstream media. He said, yeah, we realized that we're going to run with this nonsense CRT DI stuff, and then we're going to seed it in mainstream media, and then it's going to go to the normies. They're literally telling you the supervillain plot. So fast forward, last summer, all this stuff gets seeded. They're moving to Overton window further and further to the right. Last week, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem stands behind a lectern after the murder of Renee Nicole Good, an unarmed white woman. The slogan says, go check it out right now, folks. One of us, all of yours. Julie, can you tell them who used that
Oh,
slogan?
I'm so glad you asked that, Waj. Well, I'll give you some context. Back in 1943 or 1944, the head of the SS, I believe in Czechoslovakia at the time, or some town in Czechoslovakia,
Yes.
got killed by partisans. In retaliation, the Germans wiped out the entire town, executed the men, the women and children who survived, was sent to concentration camps, and they died there, right? And they said, you kill one of ours, we'll kill all of yours. But watch, I want to go further, because whoever's running the DHS social media platforms is an unrepentant neo-Nazi.
Absolutely.
Because there are 3 other examples I can give you off the top of my head. One is they had a meme of Uncle Sam standing in front of, and people really need to pay attention to this because it's insane, standing in front of, those old signs they have in Europe that goes like Paris that way, Berlin that way,
Yep.
that way, saying like progress, or like, abundance this way, and like, liberal, whatever, hell this way. And it's Uncle Sam's looking which direction. And underneath it says, which way, American man. Now, if you don't know what you're looking at, you're like, oh, I don't know what the hell this is. I'm going to move on. But if you're a neo-Nazi, you know exactly what this is.
There you go.
It is a takeoff of a book that was published in the 1970s by a very well-known white nationalist, anti-Semite, that is called Which Way, Western Man. That is basically a Mein Kampf for the 21st century, right? Or the latter part of the 20th century. That's what they're doing. Then they put something out that says one country, one
heritage.
What? No, heritage was the last. One country, one people, one heritage. Well, in German, if you replace heritage with Führer, it's ein Reich, ein Volk, ein Führer, which was the Nazi slogan. They just replaced Führer with heritage. Same thing, kind of, right? Heritage. Which heritage? White heritage, Waj, not your heritage or my heritage. I'm Jewish or Muslim. They don't include us as white people, clearly. So the heritage they're talking about. And then the third thing off the top of my head is there's a very famous painting, if you know anything about art history, in the 19th century, called Manifest Destiny. It was actually has a
Yep.
real name, but everybody knows it as the Manifest Destiny painting. And it is a painting of Native Americans and buffalo fleeing. And as white people are fleeing west, and as white people are moving from east to west, translation, Trail of Tears, taking over their territory, the sun goes with them. So it goes basically gets lighter as the white people are getting rid of the Native American people and pushing them out. This is the painting that DHS used in
Yep.
one of their recruitment memes. This is all out in the open. This is like on Instagram and on Twitter.
Can I add two more from the top of my head? This is why I
Sure,
enjoy talking to you,
yeah,
because we can nerd out about this
of
stuff
course.
because we're masochists and unfortunately know about Nazis and white supremacist
Yeah,
language. I'll
yeah.
give you another one. We'll just stick with DHS before we move on to the Department of Labor.
Department of Labor too. Yeah, go ahead.
DHS tweets out 3 times. I've been keeping track. 3 times the Department of Homeland Security has tweeted out the word remigrate. Normies are like, remigrate? What does that mean? Remigration and remigrate is a word, a term used only in Nazi and white supremacist circles. Well, what does that mean, Watch? Great question. Remigrate is a synonym for ethnic cleansing. Well, ethnic cleansing of who? Remigration is their term for removing forcibly all brown, black, and Asian people from America and Europe.
Yeah.
Remigrate. They've tweeted it 3 times. Another DHS tweet, I'm sure you've seen, and of course, these people can't even use pop culture well. The wave coming over the shore, and Trump posted, "We're going to deport 100 million immigrants." Now, that post is still up there, and many people, America after 100 million deportations, a wave, sun, palm tree, right? It was used by a Japanese artist without his permission, and everyone's like, wait, wait, wait. America after 100 million deportations, and Homeland Security said, wait for it, the peace of a nation no longer besieged by the third world. Tweet still up there. People say low estimate, 11 million undocumented immigrants, most likely 15 million. Julie, who's 100 million?
That's a third of the population, Waj. I'm so glad you asked. Well, Waj, I think it's definitely you, right? I maybe it's me. I mean, I come from Eastern
Well,
Europe,
you're Jewish. You're a
but I'm
Jewish woman. It's
Jewish,
you.
so I'm Jewish. So
Jews aren't considered white.
yeah, so Jewish, so probably me also. Um, you know, there was a, I mean, let's just start with the fact that there's mass outrage that the mayor of New York took the oath of office on a Quran. Like they can't hack it. They can't take it. Like can't compute. What the hell? Why the hell not? Like why the hell not?
We know why. I
I mean,
think,
of course we know why. Of course we know why. But the point is like, and they're saying it now. It used to be these dog whistles. They're not even dog whistling anymore.
there's no dog. And I'm so glad. And this is why, this is the danger, folks. It all connects. Because I've had people who've come around, and this is there's no I told you so. I don't care. What is it gonna do? I'm not gonna win any awards. But when we said this is a white supremacist regime, people said that's too much.
Yeah.
How dare you said. When we said Trump was racist, no, that's too much. When we said these folks are using Nazi slogans, now, Waj. When we said it's not economic anxiety, I've been saying this for 10 years. It's cultural anxiety. Like, no, it's a racial trip up, it's a racial flare up. Come on now, don't be divisive, don't talk about this. Folks, when you normalize, when you platform, when you mainstream, when you whitewash, when you say things like Charlie Kirk did politics the right way, even as he openly and proudly shared clips of him saying the Civil Rights Act was a mistake and black people were better off during segregation, as you move the Overton window further and further to the right, they no longer have to wear hoods. The dog whistles become blowhorns, and according to their own strategy, like a very helpful Bond villain, they're telling you we are using corporate America and mainstream America to mainstream our. Steve Bannon said it yesterday. He got quoted in the Atlantic. He goes, "Yes, F the Overton window. We're just going to do it, and everyone's going to catch up." Now, this is not neo-Nazi stuff. This is Nazi stuff. They're using Nazi font, white supremacist terminology, the slogans, the all. Right before MLK, did you see the Department of Labor with the painting of the all-white Christian Sunday?
Yep.
The 13 stars, the 13 stars of the Confederacy around the head of Abraham Lincoln, the Department of Labor and DHS Groyper, whoever's running those accounts, is a straight up Nazi lover, much like the young Republican young Republicans in their 20s and 30s who were outed after Politico published just a sampling of their 2,900 pages of Telegram texts where they said they loved Hitler. What more do you need to see, Julie? You tell me.
Listen, we are living in a country right now, and I've said this before, and it's really, something's come to a head in the last, I would say, month or two that has proven everything that you and I have been saying. I mean, if you deny this now, I don't know. You had Mike Johnson come out yesterday, and this got no attention because of all the other stuff that they're throwing at the window. So obviously, if you're going to, flood the zone, as Steve Bannon always says, you're going to miss a few things. Well, here's something that I picked up yesterday. Mike Johnson, at his weekly press conference yesterday, stood up and said that he wants to impeach judges who don't go along with Donald Trump.
That's right.
He talked about Boasberg, right? So Judge Boasberg is a federal judge down in Washington who prevented them from deporting 100 and what is it, 27, 72? I forgot what the number is. I should know it because it's
230, like 239,
whatever it is, down to Venezuelans, down to CCOT, to the
where they were tortured.
Yeah, where they were tortured and raped and God knows what else. And because Boasberg said, wait a second, these people didn't get due process. And by the way, you also did this without judicial consent. They want to impeach Boasberg now. So when you start going after the judiciary that explicitly, what you're effectively saying is the constitutional protections that we have had about separation of power do not exist. You don't believe in them anymore.
That's right.
And that is the end of our democracy. And we are living, everybody keeps saying we live in late stage capitalism. We're living in late stage democracy right now.
That's right.
I would argue we don't even have a democracy right now because of everything that they're trying to do to eradicate any distinction between the three branches of government. It's just, and you have the Speaker of the House, the third most powerful man in Washington, because if Donald Trump departs this mortal coil and J.D. Vance departs this mortal coil, guess who gets to be president?
Moses Mike Johnson. And to your point, exactly your point, last night, what should be huge news, but because they flood the zone, it's not news, which should be the biggest news. A whistleblower report revealed that ICE is no longer going to follow the Fourth Amendment and the Constitution, and now they have been given the green light, wait for it, to barge into people's homes without judicial warrants. Well, what does that mean? That means these masked armed ICE agents who are knocking on doors and dragging people out, they don't have to knock on doors. They can literally go into your home without warrants, completely bypass the Fourth Amendment, according to this whistleblower document, and literally snatch people. This is why we have protections. This is why, Julie, we have, wait for it, the Second Amendment. Don't tread on me, liberty from government tyranny, right? So this is straight up, like, what more do you need to see? They murdered Renee Nicole Good, an unarmed white mom. And Julie, this is where I'm going to say, look, Jews, Muslims, Black people, undocumented immigrants, pro-Palestinian activists, all the undesirables, right? I'm going to be honest. Yeah. A lot of people were like, throw the trans under the bus.
100%. Wouldn't have been a big deal.
Throw the pro-Palestinian, throw Mahmoud Khalil under the bus. Mahmoud Khalil, poor guy, speaking about how all comes together, deported to Algeria today.
Algeria. By the way, can we just pause for a second? I know the point I wanted to finish making the point, but you brought him up and I want to talk about this, right? Mahmoud Khalil, who is, I believe, Syrian born, right? And was he raised in Gaza or the West Bank? I forgot which of the two Palestinians.
I forget.
But anyway, has no connection to Algeria whatsoever, but I guess one Muslim country is as good as the other to any of them. He has a green card. He has an American wife. He now has an American child. Whose birth he did not get to witness because they sent him to another gulag, Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, before they sent him over to, I believe, Louisiana. Right. But then he went to Delaney Hall first. And I mean, a lower court clearly said this is inexcusable. And then, of course, they decided to go down to the most conservative circuit court down in the South, to the Fifth Circuit. And the Fifth Circuit said, please, sir, we'd like some more because we're a bunch of white supremacist assholes. And Mahmoud Khalil, listen, I don't agree with a lot of what he did, but let me say something. I will fight to the death for that guy to be able to stay here and be able to say it and do it.
But what did he do? There's no crime. What's crime?
There's no crime.
There's no crime. And they've asked. They said, Department of Justice, what's the crime? No, they couldn't make something. They couldn't even make anything up. So
Yeah.
you don't like his positions? Okay. What was his position? He's a pro-Palestinian activist. He goes, "Hey man, there's an occupation, there's a genocide. Please don't do it." He protested peacefully, no violence, and they deported him. They made an example out of him, of so many others. Rumeysa Öztürk. We've been warning about this for a year, right? The point was Rumeysa Öztürk, a Turkish grad student at Tufts,
Tough.
here
Yeah.
legally, co-wrote an op-ed in Tufts newspaper. You could disagree with the op-ed, whatever. It's about BDS.
No,
Okay, who
no.
cares?
But let me actually stop. You shouldn't even disagree with the op-ed, even if you don't like BDS, because all she did was say that we want the president of Tufts to meet with us or to take this serious or something. She wasn't even calling for BDS.
Yeah,
She was calling for
and what
president.
happened to her? Tell him what happened to her.
She got, I mean, she got sent down to Louisiana and
Kidnapped in broad daylight.
Broad daylight because she was wearing a headscarf.
So what we were saying was, at that time, folks, and this is the point I'm trying to make. At that time, I was telling America, and specifically, I want to be very blunt, privileged America and white America, because privileged America includes some people of color, some Muslims, some Arabs, some black people. I talked to them who said, it doesn't bother me. I'll get my tax cuts. Go after the trans. I'm the good immigrant. I'm the good Jew. I'm the good X, Y, and Z, right? We said, doesn't matter. Fascists come for everyone. We said, look what they're doing to these pro-Palestinian activists. Look what they're doing to the undocumented immigrants. Look what they're doing to Venezuelans. Look what they're doing to Mexicans. Look what they've always done to black people. And now, Julie, a white woman, Renee Nicole Good, unarmed, driving a Honda Pilot with stuffed bears, whose last words were, "I'm not mad at you, man." Unarmed, because apparently that incel weak Jonathan Ross didn't like her lesbian wife or woman, and who found out who was his wife, being slightly mouthy, even slightly snarky, but peaceful. Takes out his gun, shoots her 3 times. The autopsy came out, right? Shoots her in the arm, shoots her in the leg, and then the fatal bullet that went through the temple. Furthermore, what came out 2 days ago is she lay bleeding for 8 minutes before she had no pulse. So in addition to shooting and killing her and then calling her an effing B, then calmly walking and then walking back and driving away, what the ICE agents did, and we have the videotape, is there was a doctor there. He goes, I'm a doctor, let me go. He goes, shut up. So she sat there bleeding and dying for 8 minutes. As her body was warm, Julie, I just want to keep the receipts for people. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem comes out, lies to the American public, and says she was a domestic terrorist. She was taught to weaponize her car. And then, folks, because I know there's so much news everyone forgets, that's why we're here, the DOJ pressured prosecutors to not investigate Officer Ross, who killed her, but to open up an investigation into Renee Good's wife, which is why 10 prosecutors resigned. And now we found out yesterday that a whistleblower, thank God, said, ICE is now instructed to ignore the Fourth Amendment and go into anyone's homes. Why am I saying this? Fascists come for everyone. You thought you were safe because they went after the pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil. You thought you were safe because they went after Abrego Kilmar Garcia. You thought you were safe because they went after Venezuelans. They went after Renee Nicole Good. And this is why I think it's all hands on deck, 10 toes down. And Julia, I have to say this. White men in particular, and I will also say white women.
White women too.
This is your John McClane moment. This is your, not John McCain moment, your John McClane Die Hard moment. This is your Indiana Jones moment. This is your Ellen Ripley from Aliens moment. Like, if it's me, and if it's like, black folks, let's be honest, Julie, like our voices don't matter as much. But when there's white rage and white grievance, this country pays attention.
Think about the cadence that you just started out with, right? So first they start out with the Muslims, right? And they start out with the Venezuelans and other Latin Americans, right? So the brown people don't matter, right? That's where we were a year ago. That's who ICE first came for, right? As we talked about, Mahmoud Khalil was like first in line. Then, concurrently they come for the Venezuelans, and now they're coming for the Hmong, right? The Asians, that poor grandfather who got pulled out of his house naked in sub-degree temperature.
Yep.
Because they just broke down his door. And then we're like, oh, whoops, after hours of having him naked shivering. Oh, whoops, never mind. Who's going to fix that door? Who's going to fix the damage? His 5-year-old grandson was there watching this, right? And then, as you said, now they're coming for the white women, and now they have a new moniker for white women. It's called awful.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes, affluent white liberal.
AWF, affluent white
liberal feminists.
Oh, all affluent white feminist something liberal.
Something liberal.
Probably ugly liberals.
Something like that. Yeah, I forgot what it is. I think they're basically describing me, right? And so
urban liberals. Michael said urban liberals.
Urban, not ugly. Urban. That's right. Urban liberals. And now I guess when you're dehumanizing women who happen to be liberal and I guess living in cities, it's okay to go after them too. Like this is the Reinhold Niebuhr. Remember that whole like first they came for
absolutely.
Then they came for the Jews, then they came for the trade unionists, and then they came for me. Nobody's left to speak up for me. That's where we're living now. You've got Greg Bavino cosplaying a Nazi with his Nazi coat and his Nazi haircut. Like, how much more do we have to hear before we understand this is late stage democracy? And this is, by the way, folks, year one.
Yep.
He's been around 1 year days.
What you talked about Bovino, something, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I did sometimes you have to remind people, you have to be blunt. So I saw an image where on the left, it was Hitler dressed up and then Bovino. And then I just tweeted it and it went viral on Blue Sky. And people are like, oh, because you need that visual reminder. And Bovino knew the cameras were out. He deliberately designed that's an SS uniform. If you don't believe me, don't believe me. Just trust the evidence of your eyes. SS uniform, SS haircut. And look how weak and pathetic these people are. I just have to say this, is that guy tried to throw a tear gas. I don't know if you saw yesterday in Minnesota, but he didn't take out the pin. Then he tried to throw it again, and then the wind blowed back on the ice agent. So I'm like, good to know that even nature is against Nazis. But, this is what we're witnessing. This is what we're witnessing, folks. And with Niemöller, that famous poem that you said, the Lutheran pastor in German, that poem was written after he acknowledged he made a mistake. He was complicit at first. And he said, you know what? I was going along with business as usual, but then, oh shit, I was wrong. So that poem was written as a type of, I want to say like, a type of apologia, a type of, oh, oops, I was wrong. You were right. My eyes are now wide open, but it's too late.
Didn't help him.
Didn't help
him.
I mean, I don't know. This is why folks, it's not all white. I hope you all listen to me. Please, it's not all white, folks. It's not, just because you're white. We're talking about white privilege. We're talking about white supremacy. We're talking about systems that are placed in power that elevate some groups over others. Irish weren't considered white. Italians weren't considered white. Eastern European Jews weren't considered white. But in this country, we have seen that if you have a certain complexion, you have protection. If you have a certain gender, you have protection. I'll give you an example. Donald Trump as a white man can come in and shoot from the hip. He's keeping it real. But Obama had to smile and nod for 8 years of his presidency. Could never be seen as being angry. Could you imagine if Obama just for one day behaved like Trump? It'd be over. He wore a tan suit. America lost its mind. Michelle Obama can't get angry. Kamala Harris can't get angry. Julie can't get angry because if you're a woman and you get angry, you're called what?
Oh, you can't. You're hysterical. You can't get angry. Listen, let me tell you something. I learned TV from Roger Ailes, and I had a lot of differences with Roger Ailes, which I can't talk about due to an NDA, but nevertheless, you could read the lawsuit. However, Roger Ailes taught me everything I know about TV because he was very good. And the one thing he said, he said many things, but one of the things he said was, you can't stress the audience out as a woman.
Wow.
So you have to, so I could sit here like this. I could say whatever I wanted, but I could sit here and be like, Waj, you are the worst person on earth. Oh my God, I cannot wait to take a stiletto and put it through your goddamn heart. But I had to say it just like this, with my legs crossed and a short skirt, because I couldn't stress anybody out.
And with some blonde streaks, nice blonde hair.
Yeah, you got to get some blonde streaks right. But I had to say just like this, because you can't, because when people are flipping
Jesse Waters, you silly goose, being so misogynistic and kind of a perv.
Because when you're flipping channels, you want to stop the girl smiling. And the reality is that is how women are expected to behave. Bill O'Reilly, in my time there, could go ahead and rip his hair out and go crazy and scream, F it, I'll do it live. He didn't do that at Fox, but nevertheless behave that way all the time on air. Didn't matter. Glenn Beck was like having a nervous breakdown on air every single day.
Every single day.
Didn't matter. Women had to be like this. And to go back to your point, I think what we have to understand here is they are coming for all of us
Yes.
because they are going to run out of people to go after, and the movement only exists on grievance. You need enemies to exist. It is the lifeblood of the MAGA movement.
Thank you.
And as somebody who comes from the former Soviet Union, I can tell you my grandfather, my great grandfather, I have to say this, was one of the early Bolsheviks. He helped make the
Oh,
Russian,
sweet.
yeah, helped make the Russian Revolution. Very close to Lenin. My grandmother, before she died, could have told you. She remembered when Lenin used to come over to the apartment when she was a little girl and hang out. So the point is, he was a big Trotskyite. He was very close to Trotsky. I'm saying all of this to say, and obviously did not work out for him because eventually he got shot too. He got poached.
There
And
you
I say
go.
that because you need Stalin killed his entire inner circle.
Yep.
Very few survived. Hitler went after, we know the Night of the Long Knives, went after his entire, not entire, but much of his inner circle. And had he survived after the war, had he won the war, he would have continued to go after his own people because he needed enemies, right? It's just that the war gave him enemies who were not necessarily his own people. He had other people to focus on. But these people the whole thing exists on grievance.
24/7.
That's all they do. And so when they're done with the Wajas of the world and the Julies of the world and the poor Venezuelans and pick, the black women and the awfuls and whoever else, they're going to come for the white men. They're going to come for the white men. Even the ones who bend the knee, they're going to be suspicious of.
And folks, fascists come for everyone, including fellow fascists.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same story again and again and again. And I give you Mike Pence running for his life on January 6th. And I give you the big, beautiful bill. They have used divide and conquer. The rich men have used divide and conquer and used racism to make themselves richer. It's a big con. And they have permanent tax cuts. What people don't realize, and I want to remind y'all, is in that big, beautiful bill that gives permanent tax cuts to the rich by gutting $1 trillion from Medicaid, they found $170 billion for ICE and private detention centers and prisons. And last time I checked, Julie, detention centers and prisons are hungry and they get fed with bodies. So once they get rid of all the Muslims and the Jews and the trans and the Venezuelans, they're coming after you, oh, affluent brown and black person who voted for Trump and white suburban American who thinks they'll be safe.
Well, look what's happening right now in Cuba. There's a story, I think, in the New York Times the other day where Cubans in Miami are
from last night.
Shocked and appalled that Trump is coming after them now. They thought they had the wet foot, dry foot policy. They thought they were different. They thought because they were Cuban and not, Mexican or Dominican, that they'd somehow be protected. Really?
Face-eating leopard, Julie, eats all faces.
Yes. And I have to say, for all of the Jewish people I know who voted for Trump, because, oh my God, Joe Biden, was like, right? Like, oh, Kamala Harris, she wasn't hard enough. She wasn't like loyal enough.
You tried. I tried for my communities. Jews, most Jews understood the assignment. 90% of Jewish women respect black women and Jewish women. I give credit where credit's due. But a lot of Jews, like you said, and some Muslims, they got played. The
Muslims, the Muslims in Michigan who were like, I'm so appalled as to what's going on in Gaza that I'm going to vote third party, or I'm going to stay home, or I'm going to vote uncommitted, or whatever they did. It's a binary choice, my friends. It is a binary choice. I get it. I get why you would be upset as to what was happening in Gaza. I get it with every fiber of my being. But it's a binary choice. And now you're about to see Gaza razed and have a Kushner and Trump tower put up there.
You saw that, right? You saw the Sky News put up the Gaza plan. It's disgusting, folks. All these people who said to me, I got, I have to leave in 1 minute if you don't mind. But this was fantastic, and I'm going to have Julie back on my show if she comes. But this is what we say. Look, folks, the lesser of two evils sometimes is exactly that. And anyone who I got a lot of heat because I said vote for Kamala Harris despite the just mistakes her and Biden made. But I said, you could at least push them. And furthermore, people said, well, what's worse than genocide? I'm like, yes, there's a genocide plus Palestinians will be worse. Jews will be worse. The Middle East will be worse. We'll lose healthcare. You're going to have ICE agents. He's going to deploy the National Guard like he threatened to. You're going to have the complete erasure of U.S. democracy. We no longer have U.S. aid. At least 500,000 people have been killed because of that. No Department of Education. Big, beautiful bill. And voila, now we're in it with Donald Trump literally stumbling, saying bullshit, embarrassing us as our European allies are openly telling the world, all right, now it's a post-World War II order, and we're moving on, and we're going to court Russia, and the middle countries have to forge our own path. America's more weak, more isolated, and now more Nazi. And now we're all in it, folks. So we got to fight. This generational damage has been done. But I'll end on this point. We have the numbers. We have the numbers. And there's something about the American spirit. You know, we were born out of revolution, folks.
Yep.
And so I want y'all, folks, I want y'all to no longer be content with crumbs. The crumbs is why we're here. If anyone comes with you and says restoration, no, we need transformation. We need reformation. We need accountability. We need fighters. And I think, Julie, we're in a moment. We're in a generational moment. Right now, there's the primary season. We need an FDR type candidate. Like, we need a new deal, someone with that type of a fighting spirit. Even if you don't get it done, fight. I'm telling y'all, anyone
Who
who's
is it?
willing to fight, people will rally with you.
Who is it? Who's your person?
I don't think there exists right now. I'm being
Yeah,
honest with you.
I
Gavin Newsom isn't the guy.
I
He
agree.
isn't the guy. I'm from California. I'm telling y'all, he ain't the guy. You love his social media managers who are two millennials. You don't love him.
I agree. All right. I know you got to go. I am so deeply grateful to you for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please come back anytime. Standing invitation. Just let me know, and I'll clear the schedule, and you can come back.
Likewise, likewise. I'll email you next week, and you come on the left hook.
Sounds great. All right, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Follow
everybody.
Waj, by the way. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Bye.